Oh, you know, sometimes my kitty cat wears this, and whenever she does, she thinks it makes her look like the Phantom of the Opera. I just thought I'd tell you that. Hey there. Hello. How do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling, is the name of this podcast. Now, before I go any further, what I want to do is to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It really means a lot to me. It's fantastic. It really is. But what I need you to do is to share. I need you to share it out to everyone you know. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. And when you share it out, tell them to subscribe. Like it if you want, and please comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Right. So, I've been telling you stories from my time in New York. Short stories from, in no particular order, just to introduce us to each other. So now you've got a little bit of an idea of who I am, and what I'm going to do is to go back to the beginning of the story and tell the whole story in order of my time in New York. Now, I've written a huge manuscript. It's called Absolute Never Forever, after a song I wrote called Absolute Never Forever. And this podcast, It's the 80s, darling, is the telling of that story rather than the reading of that story. I'd rather just talk to you. I'd rather just spend the time with you and talk to you and tell you the story rather than read you a story, which would be fine. It would be fine, you know, and I'm sure it'd be just as enjoyable for the both of us. However, I really like just talking to you. And if I was reading, you'd be looking at my forehead or the glare of my glasses, right? So this is the telling of that story. And so the telling of that story, Absolute Never Forever, goes something like this. Absolute Never Forever by Harry Wetzel. The story you are about to hear is true. Some of the names have been changed, even though no one is innocent. It's the 70s, baby! What? It's the 70s, baby! Yes. It's 1977. My first job, my first real job, was in the movies. In the movies. My first real job was in the movies. In a theater. In a movie theater. Oh, it was so perfect, because I was a movie fan for my entire life, and I had been going to the cinema as far back as I could remember, and now I was gainfully employed in the movies. Now, I had had other jobs. You know, as a fat kid growing up, I cut the lawn of that little old lady named Forget It. I mowed that bumpy lawn of hers for $2. It was the 70s, baby. Yes. I helped my friend Sklodge when he went out of town. I took over his paper route for him. And my other friend Badger, when he went out of town, I took over his paper route for him. Oh, yeah. But my first real important commitment, you have to be at a certain place at a certain time all the time, job, was at the movies at Fairlane Town Center in Dearborn, Michigan. Now, it's 1977. Afternoon Delight is playing on the radio. We're listening to Bruce Springsteen sing to us how he was born to run. Stevie Nicks is singing about Fleetwood Mac's Dreams. We're listening to how to do the hustle. We're also listening to Fifth of Beethoven. And these were the things that were on the radio in 1977. When I graduated high school. Yes. And the drinking age in 1977 was 18 years old. Get this, it was 18 years old. I was only 17 at the time, but it didn't matter. We got drunk anyway. But one of my high school friends, Squidly Diddley, we called him Squidly for short, came to me one day and he said, "Harry Wetzel, I got a job. I'm working over at the movies at Fairlane. You should go apply. I think they might be hiring." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds excellent. That's a fabulous idea. I think I'll do that." And so that's what I did. I went over and I had a meeting with the manager, Mr. Bedell, the manager of the movies at Fairlane. And I said, "I'd like to apply for a job as an usher." He said to me, "Oh, we are not hiring ushers at this time." And I'm like, "Oh." He says, "But we have an opening for a porter. Would you like a job as a porter?" And I'm like, "Whoa, that sounds pretty cool. Do I need a hat? Do I need a uniform? Do I have to wear a tie or something like that?" He says, Nah. You can dress in rags for all that matters. You'll be working at night. You'll be working alone. You'll be working the night shift, the graveyard shift. No one will see you and no one will know that you worked there and no one will care." And I'm like, ugh. Sounds great. Anything else? He says, "Yeah. You're called a porter, but the job is really a garbage sweeper or a trash collector." And I'm like, so I just take out the trash. He says, "You sweep the trash. There are 5 theaters, and each one is absolutely carpeted with litter, refuse, popcorn cups, candy wrappers, half-filled, and they're half-filled, cups of leftover soda pop. And you will have to sweep every one of these theaters down, every aisle, all the way down to the front of the theater and in front of the screen, and then you'll have a huge mound of garbage as big as a football field. And then you'll have to bag up all this garbage. You'll have to put it in these huge trash bags. They're like body bags. And you'll have to muscle them down a flight of stairs because the movie theater is on the 2nd floor, and you'll have to take them down to the dumpsters. And then you'll come upstairs and you'll walk into the next theater, and they're identical theaters. You'll feel exactly like you walked into the same theater and it was loaded with garbage again, and you have to do it again. You'll begin to feel like Prometheus having his liver eaten out by an eagle every day, only to grow back and regenerate and be eaten again the next morning. You'll feel like that every time you walk into another theater. Think it's the same identical theater. It's loaded with garbage. Your liver gets eaten out 5 times a night. It'll drive you to the edge of madness. I'm like, oh. Sounds great. Anything else? Yes, the smell. The smell of stale popcorn and flat soda pop. When you put them together in a melange, they come up with an aroma that is unlike anything you've ever encountered. Now, I'm not trying to say that it's a foul stench like a sewer or a toilet or anything like that. No. Like the flat soda pop, like the stale popcorn, the aroma is a flat, stale aroma. It smells like human indifference or some type of anxiety, perhaps. How it affects you is all up to you. Sounds great. Anything else? Yeah, you probably won't get paid that much either. Are you in? And I'm like, yeah, thanks for the job. And so that was it. I came in at 11 o'clock the next night. And he was right. There are 5 identical theaters. And each one is littered, is carpeted. Because there are 5 showings or 6 showings of each movie in each of the 5 theaters every day. And they didn't have porters or ushers come in and clean up between the shows. So the garbage people just left there accumulated. The popcorn cups, the spilled popcorn, the spilled beverages, the candy wrappers, the ice creams, a used diaper one time. Not kidding! Yes, it was horrifying, and I did begin to feel like Prometheus as I cleaned and swept and swept. And that aroma, as he said, smelled to me like loneliness, because I was completely alone in each one of the theaters all night long, and I felt like I was on the edge of my sanity, and I would hallucinate. I wouldn't see things, but I would just have these imaginings, these visions that I was the last living human, and I had to clean this theater over and over and over again just to hang on to my sanity. And I also did it as quietly as possible, so as not to wake the sleeping dragon who was overseeing me clean all the refuse, all the trash, all the garbage, and all the rubble from all the theaters. If I woke him, then I would get in big trouble. So I cleaned as quietly as I could, most of the time. So that became my summer job. I'd go in at 11 o'clock p.m., check in with my supervisor. Well, he wasn't exactly my supervisor, but it was the guy that I had to check in with, and the guy that I'd have to check out with the next morning. And we never had a lot of conversation. Oh, he was a big, funny, friendly guy with a big mustache named Jerry. I'm not saying his mustache was named Jerry. No, I'm not. Anyhow, I'd go in the evening, and he'd be doing something in the office, and I'd say, I'm here. And he'd say, great, see you later. And then I would go do my Prometheus act and get my liver eaten out 5 times in a row. And then at around 6 in the morning, I'd go hunt for Jerry, because he was never in the same spot in the mall. He was always somewhere in the mall doing something, but I would just have to roam around. Sometimes he would be in the guard's office, and they'd be telling each other jokes, and our conversation would be just as thrilling. All done? Everything all right? Yep. Okay, see you tomorrow. And that was my summer job for a while, until one bright day, I got a phone call from Mr. Bedell. Yes, he said, Harry, one of the ushers had a nervous breakdown. Do you want a job as an usher? And I'm like, yes, that's why I applied in the first place. This is fantastic. He says, great. I says, anything I need to know? He says, yes, it's a horrible job. You'll be standing around doing nothing. You'll feel like you have no value or worth as these people are herded in and herded out. All you can do is oversee them just to hope that they don't break into a fight or something with each other. You'll be spending the other half of your time with a dustpan on a long stick and a little tiny broom, and you'll be sweeping up popcorn eternally, because people are slobs and they're spilling popcorn wherever they go. If they spill the beverages, it's an indoor-outdoor carpet. We don't have to worry about that. They shampoo the rugs every now and then. But that popcorn, you'll be sweeping from now on. And I'm like, he sounds great. Anything else? He says, yes, stock day. You'll have to carry the heaviest merchandise. We'll have to carry these soda containers that are the syrup for the Coke, and the pop, and the root beer, and the orange. And they're so heavy. And you'll have to take them up a flight of stairs, because that's the only place we could think of to put the heaviest thing that we get up a flight of stairs. And there are huge bags of popcorn. They're 3 feet by 2 feet, filled with popcorn. Popped who knows how long ago. Popped at the popcorn factory. Who knows where it is? Who knows? It doesn't matter. We get dozens and dozens of these. They all go up a flight of stairs as well. Stock day is another version of hell. I'm like, sounds great. Anything else? He says, no, 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 there are some perks. You know, you can have all the popcorn you want. All you have to do is bring your own container. And I'm like, really? He says, all the popcorn you can cram, stuff, and wedge into your gullet. All you have to do is bring your own container and you're fine. Same thing with the soda pop. You wanna drink a gallon? Just bring your own gallon cup. Drink all you want. It's a lost leader for us. We don't charge for the popcorn. We don't charge for the beverages. What we charge for is the cups. You know, we buy these cups for 7.5 cents each, and we sell those cups for $4.50. What a markup. It's fantastic. And not only that, the popcorn might as well be free because who knows when it was popped. Now, we do pop fresh popcorn just to keep up appearances. But frankly, those 2-foot by 3-foot bags, that's where we get the major amount of popcorn. I'm like, oh, well, anything else? He says, yeah, there is one other thing. There's a lot of cute girls who work in concessions, but you're such a loser you don't stand a chance with them, so get it out of your mind right away. And I'm like, well, hey, okay. And he's like, all right, come in tomorrow at 6 o'clock and we'll get you a blazer. It probably won't fit. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Anything else? Nope. And you probably won't make that much more money than you did as a porter. Are you in? And I am absolutely in. And so there it was. I was an usher in the theater. I was an usher in the movies. I went in the next day and they gave me a tomato red blazer that didn't fit. He was right. And I was an usher, and it was a hilarious group of guys. We had a lot of fun together. We were all teenagers. We were invincible. We weren't invisible. That would have been something. Anyhow, we were invincible. When you're a teenager, you're made out of rubber and steel. You can, and you bounce. It's fine. It's fantastic. You can, even though you're not of age yet, you can drink all you want. Well, eventually I became of age because I was at the theater as an usher until my birthday, my 18th birthday, when it was, as I said, legal to drink. So what we would do, there was a period of time, there were 5 theaters. There was a period of time in the evening between 9:30 and 10:30 or 9:30 and 11 when all 5 movies were up and running. All the patrons were in their seats and we didn't have to herd anybody anywhere. All was quiet except for a random person going to the bathroom or something like that, coming out and buying more concessions. Right. So all was quiet so we could leave the theater, go downstairs to the Jonathan B. pub, and have a quick Bass pale ale or 2 before we'd go back up to work. And then when we went up back to work, it was just the herding out of the ending and the leaving of the audiences. So we didn't have to really do anything except make sure that no fights broke out. So especially on Sunday nights, that was the crew of the miscreants. We got together on Sunday nights, and the assistant manager was on duty, and he just stayed in the office reading the whole time, so he didn't know what was going on with us. And one of the fellas said, "Hey, during the 9:30 break, let's go up on the roof of the Fairlane Town Center and let's smoke marijuana up there." And we're like, whoa, that sounds excellent. What do you mean, go up on the roof? How do we get up there? He says, I know a way. Well, what we got to do is go down a hallway and around a corner and up a ladder, and then there we are on the glorious roof. So that's what we did. We went up on the roof of the Fairlane Town Center, and we're smoking marijuana. And it's a lovely view. It's not very high. It's only about 4 stories high, but we're out there laughing and joking, the 5 of us, when suddenly a security guard climbs the ladder and pokes his head up, and he says, "Oh," and we're like, "Oh," and he climbs up onto the roof and he says, "What is going on up here?" And we're like, habra, habra, habra. And one of the ushers goes, "Ah, come on, Joey. to the security guard. And Joey, the security guard, says, okay. You guys are stupid. You're on camera. Didn't you happen to notice? And we're like, ugh. No, we didn't happen to notice. He says, you've got to get off the roof or I'm going to get in trouble. So we're like, okay. So that was what it was like working at the movies at Fairlane. It was I figured that it was my beginning of, or my continuing of my career as an actor, working in the movies. It's acting adjacent, but we're in the movies, and someday I'm going to get on the other side of this. Someday I'm going to be in the movies. Perhaps someday I'll actually live in New York. Perhaps someday I'll actually work on Broadway. Perhaps someday I'll walk on out onto Times Square and see a marquee with red letters emblazoned the name of a movie that I'm actually in. Perhaps someday I'll get my head examined. I so look forward to talking with you again.